everybody, and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the transfer talks and how transfer talks are beginning at my club, Oxford United. We're going to be talking about the rumours of departures, the potential deals going out of the football club, and rumours about who are going to be coming into the football club as well. Contract talks are also beginning with our main man in midfield as well, Cameron Brannigan. That's all to come up to in episode number 1 of the podcast today. We're going to start things off with the departures. Rob Dickie, potential interests are coming in for our captain of the second half of the season, Rob Dickie. And before we discuss when he's leaving, if he's leaving, who he's going to, I think we just need to take in exactly how this man influenced Oxford United's success last season. Of course, it didn't finish all happy for Oxford United, but it certainly generally was a very, very good season. We just fell short at the end at Wembley, but generally speaking, the season was a success, and Rob Dickie was definitely a standout player for Oxford United in a standout team with many standout players, of course, as well. And when you have a standout season as a player, of course, there will be interest. And if you're not playing at the highest level, if you're not playing for a Premier League side or anything like that, you're going to have interest from teams above you in the league. All the leagues, should I say, and Rob Dickie is that's just the same as that. Rob Dickie playing for League One for us of Oxford United, but there apparently is rumours, and there are plenty of rumours suggesting that he will be leaving League One side Oxford United and returning to possibly Reading, where he originally was before, Derby, Forest, Fulham, and that's just the Championship. Southampton, Burnley are interested from the Premier League, as well as some more Championship sides, including QPR and Brentford, all interested in Rob Dickie. And I think it just has to be warranted. The player we saw the season before last was nothing like what we saw Rob Dickie this season, and what a development in player we have seen in Rob Dickie. What an absolute player we have produced. I say Oxford United. He came and looked like a pretty average central defender in League One. Looked like League One was definitely going to be his cap, and that's where he was going to stay for the rest of his career. And the development that this defender has made in these last 12 months of football, in the end, has been extraordinary. And, like I said, we are not a Championship side next season. We fell short just at the end, but Rob Dickie was a huge part of why we were so successful. He was a fantastic defender for us last season, a fantastic part of the team, and got given the captaincy, of course, for the second half of the season as well, which is absolutely fantastic, and also definitely helped his development. And Rob Dickie said that to himself. The trust from Carl Robinson, the manager, was definitely the reason, or definitely a good reason why he developed so much this season, due to him just having a lot of pressure and thriving on pressure. And clearly Rob Dickie can thrive on pressure, as we saw last season. Given the captaincy, it's a big role. This is a footballing side that wants to be playing at the highest level, wants to be in the Championship as well. So to be given the captaincy of a team that have high demands, high ambition, is definitely a pressure, and a pressure that Rob Dickie simply just thrived on. And the money and the potential bids are being made apparently are between £2 to £3 million. However, we are looking to push that forward. Lots of clubs interested, so you'd hope to think that we are looking to try and get the most and the best possible deal to get Rob Dickie out of the club if we are going to. If Rob Dickie is going to leave us, of course, we don't want him to leave Oxford United. We never want a player of Rob Dickie's quality to leave Oxford United, but unfortunately, I think he just might be playing at a level where he just looks extremely, extremely good, and he is extremely, extremely good. And there, of course, will be interest from better or higher leagued sides. And when Premier League teams come knocking, as we've heard and seen so many times in League One, not just Oxford United, but when Premier League clubs and high-end Championship clubs come knocking, it's very difficult to not accept bids, as we saw with Shandon Baptiste and Tariq Foster in January, when Brentford came knocking, a high-end Championship side come knocking, who had ambition to be in the Premier League, of course, fell short as well, but they have that ambition to be in the Premier League, and I assume it won't be long until they are in the Premier League, if they play the way that they have been playing in the Championship last season. I watched them in the playoff final. I saw a couple of and the semi-final. I watched a little bit of their championship campaign, their second half of the championship campaign post-lockdown, and Brentford did look a very, very good footballing side. There's no surprise why a player of Baptiste and Fosu would go to Brentford, who have a high ambition. It's very difficult to not accept those bids. It's very difficult not to not accept contracts from those larger clubs as well. So, similar to Jean-Baptiste and Fosu, Rob Dickie could be on his way out of the football club. Nothing's confirmed as I'm recording this episode of the podcast. However, it will not surprise me if this happens in the next week. Of course, the salary cap decision is being made on Friday, which is actually the day before we're filming and recording this episode of the podcast, so we'll have more information about that tomorrow. But now Carl Robinson has revealed that he's looking to try and get as much business done, and that's going in, that's coming out before that decision tomorrow, before the salary cap decision has been decided on Friday. So yeah. And today, I've just heard as well, we have signed a new right back from Hearts. There'll be more information on that in the second episode, or another episode of this podcast as well. We will be talking about him, and we'll be talking about the more deals that hopefully Oxford United are going to be bringing into the football club. That's just been announced. I don't know too much information on that. However, when I do know more information and when some more deals come in, I'll certainly be looking at that. But that's Rob Dickie, and that is the main rumour of departure this summer. When we're talking ins, we're talking Matty Taylor, the man that scored 17 goals for Oxford United on loan last season, has signed permanently on a 3-year contract, and that shows ambition. It shows again what we're all about here at Oxford United. We don't want to just use that playoff defeat and dwell on it for how long. And just sit there and be, we lost in the playoff final. We're going to sit and we're going to be a mid-table side and sell our best players and buy a couple of players here and there that no one's ever heard of. Loan a couple of players in from Premier League sides, and they'll look okay. They'll look probably better than some of the players we own and things like that. And then we're a mid-table side because we've lost some of our best players. However, we've shown the opposite of that. We've shown ambition more than ever. Matty Taylor, like I said, top goal scorer for Oxford United last season, 17 goals on loan last season. Matty Taylor is a permanent Oxford United player. He is our player, which is fantastic news. It's difficult to get a goal scorer of his calibre in this league, and it certainly will be a huge addition to this side once again. So a great goal scorer in Matty Taylor joining Oxford United on a permanent basis, and that's not just the only permanent signing. We've signed this summer. Joel Cooper signed from Linfield on another 3-year contract, an undisclosed fee. We don't know how much we have paid for Joel Cooper, but he's a winger. He's 24 years old, and he's been described as a real talent in the interview with Carl Robinson after he signed. And I've watched a couple of goals and assists from what I've seen on Twitter, and he does look the business. He looks like he can score goals. He looks like he can create goals, and he looks like he can create many chances for our other players. And now we've got a goal scorer in Matty Taylor and a finisher in that, and in him it does look like Joel Cooper is going to be getting a few more assists as well. Of course, last season we saw the fantastic link-up play of James Henry and Matty Taylor. This season we could get a real trio of James Henry, Matty Taylor, and the new addition of Joel Cooper. So that is a lot to be excited for. In Joel Cooper, he looks like a fantastic addition to Oxford United. We don't know too much about him. We don't know a lot about him coming from that league. We don't know if the switch from Northern Irish football to English football, how much of a difference that is. But I'm just going to say Mark Sykes did the same. Gavin White did the same. Of course, he's now gone to Cardiff, but we know what Mark Sykes and Gavin can do, and what players they have been for Oxford United in the past couple of years. And hopefully Joel Cooper can be nothing short of the same, because if he is, we should be extremely excited. And I'm excited anyway. I don't know much about him, but I'm excited to see what he can bring to Oxford United, and hopefully he can bring a lot to Oxford United next season, because attacking threat is what we need. And sometimes we've dominated the game, we've kept the ball, but we've just haven't been able to finish. We just haven't been able to break teams down. Hopefully Joel Cooper will certainly be the player that will be able to help Oxford United do that, and just stop the curse of playing against teams that are going to sit behind the ball, defend from the go, and play for the point. at home or away or wherever it is, and Joel Cooper hopefully can be the player that can turn up, wear that Oxford United shirt, and break teams down with that hopefully lightning pace, and great eye for goal and eye for a pass. Exciting times in the confirmed arrivals for Oxford United so far this summer, and like I just said as well, we do know about a player that's come in, and all I'm going to say is he's a right back, which is interesting as well. And finally, in this episode, Oxford United are in talks with Cameron Brannigan, the main player in midfield last season. Him and Goran formed a fantastic partnership for Oxford United last season. He was a fantastic player and has been a fantastic player for Oxford United for the last couple of years, and to see that we're trying to talk contract negotiations with him is a huge headline and exciting times for that. We have got some more information on that. Apparently we would rather see him leave on a free at the end of the season, just to get that extra 1 year that he's got left on his deal out of Cameron Brannigan. I understand that. I'm sure there are pros and cons, and I'm sure different people have opinions on that. I understand Carl Robinson and what he means by that, and that basically means is let's just not sell now. Let's use this season because it's a big season for Oxford United. Keep ambition. I've used that a lot in this podcast, but that's the main thing. We want to keep our players. We don't want to just turn into that selling club in League One, which we've done. We have been known to do before, sell our best talents, but let's keep Cameron Brannigan. If he doesn't sign another contract, he doesn't sign another contract, but let's at least have him till the end of the season, see where it takes us, and if we get promoted, you never know, we could be talking contract negotiations again if they fail. But this is a big season for Oxford United. We're going to use that playoff defeat last season and use that to drive us forward and drive us, hopefully, to either back to Wembley next season or automatic promotion as well. We're not going to, jinx ourselves too early. I'm just saying we're excited by the players we're bringing in, and we're excited by the ambition of the football club. So big credit to them there as well. Burnley and Leeds are interested in Cameron Brannigan, and that is what Oxford United and Carl Robinson said. We do not want to sell now at a cut price. Of course, we're still working in the coronavirus market. This is a coronavirus market where lots of deals are having to be cut short, and obviously clubs are also wanting more money because they have lost a lot of money in this pandemic as well. So lots of things to talk about, and lots of things to think about for Oxford United and all of the League One clubs, and upwards and below us as well. But they're the main headlines in the transfer talks beginning at Oxford United, episode number 1 of the Young Fan Podcast. It's not just going to be Oxford United transfer talks and all those sort of things as well. Don't worry, we'll be talking about Premier League clubs, Championship clubs across Europe as well. I understand, talking about Oxford United, if you're not an Oxford United supporter and you're not familiar with Oxford United, I understand this podcast wouldn't be so much for you, but if you could drop a listen, I'm sure it's interesting. I'm sure you could find something interesting about it. If you don't, I understand. Don't worry, we'll be talking about lots of other things as well. I've got some cool ideas I want to bring to the podcast, a lot of things I want to bring to the table, and I'm sure we'll get them out and released as quickly and at the best quality as possible. I'm very excited for the future of this podcast. I'm very excited to see where we can take this podcast, the new Young Fan Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe for the first time. Obviously, it is the first time for everybody. It's the first episode, so please consider subscribing. If you enjoyed what you've heard today and you've enjoyed the video and the podcast as well, if you can like, that would be fantastic. If you can comment down below, I'm not sure what you can comment, but yeah, you can comment different things like suggestions for the future of this podcast, what you'd like to see, etc. But definitely subscribe and turn that notification bell on so you never miss an episode of the Young Fan Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Have a very good rest of your day and a very good rest of your week as well. I'll see you soon for another episode of the Young Fan Podcast, but for now, thanks for listening and I'll see you later.